Hi and good evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I am Buddham. Now the latest headlines from world channels and news agencies.
Purported leaked.
Today, deal imminent, the White House says. Final negotiations are underway for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas.
Proposal that I laid out until months ago, finally coming to fruition.
Also ahead, a home destroyed after a cliff collapse on Victoria's Mornington Peninsula. The government commits $42 million to improve the lives of autistic Australians over 7 years. And Alex de Minaur to take centre stage on day 3 of the Australian Open. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Ros Childs. US President Joe Biden.
Tonight we have breaking news as we come on the air. This new warning, the winds now coming again tonight. They're warning of a particularly dangerous situation. Winds up to 75 miles an hour again this evening in California. We're also learning tonight of 2 passenger jets. Authorities say just seconds from a mid-air collision, what we know so far. First tonight, this new warning just in this evening, the wildfire emergency in the Los Angeles area. New dangerous Santa Ana winds about to return tonight, gusting up to 75 miles per hour, where the fires are still burning at this hour and where this could be a major concern. The death toll rising in tonight, a major new clue on the potential cause of one of these fires. Our team standing by across the fire zone and Ginger Z standing by with the forecast. The winds coming tonight and right through Wednesday. Also tonight, this dangerous and brutal cold across much of the country tonight. Wind chills below 0 to single digits from the Dakotas to the Midwest, then moving right into the Northeast. Tonight, that terrifying mid-air close call, 2 passenger jets, a Delta flight and a United flight. It was the computers in the cockpits that suddenly warned them they were seconds from colliding. The American hostages in Gaza. Is there now a deal soon coming? And how many Americans are still believed to be alive? What we're learning tonight. Breaking news from the Justice Department just moments ago. Special Counsel David Weiss releasing his final report on Hunter Biden with harsh words for President Biden. It comes just hours before the expected release of Jack Smith's report on Donald Trump. Tonight, the arrest involving WNBA star Caitlin Clark, an alleged stalker, arrested after traveling from Texas to Indiana. The player telling police she feared for her life. The concern tonight over respiratory illness across this country, the new warning from the CDC this evening, what they're now seeing in at least 35 states. Tonight, the major news involving Bob Dylan.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me.
The Dylan treasures up for grabs. Tonight here, we remember a beloved actress who played her role for nearly 50 years.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening.
Tonight, the critical hours in the wildfire fight in Southern California as more dangerous winds threaten to bring new destruction. Crews racing to contain these historic fires just as Santa Ana winds return with gusts up to 70 miles an hour, threatening the air assault on the flames and potentially spreading new infernos. We're on the front lines with the team hunting for hotspots. The death toll rising to at least 24. Dozens of arrests made, including looting charges, and investigators zeroing in on what sparked the largest blaze, the Palisades fire. Was there a human cause? Plus, the desperate homeowners who have been defending their homes with hoses, the disaster making California's dire housing crisis even worse. Our team in the fire zone and Al Roker tracking the winds. Also tonight, the first major movement in months on a possible ceasefire deal in Gaza. Could an agreement be struck before President Biden leaves office? A critical week for President-elect Trump and his cabinet nominees. Confirmation hearings set to begin. First up, Pete Hegseth, his pick for defense secretary. The tough questions he faces about his experience and his conduct. The alarming new study on the rising risk of dementia and what you can do to minimize your risk. And the emotional reunion in California. The dog back together with his owner and the firefighter who saved his life.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Joe Biden all the best, but the fact is he is less
best. We're just 1 week away
to the border, but also with the economy.
JD said it best. We're just 1 week away until we say goodbye to Joe Biden's dumpster fire presidency and say hello to Trump's shock and awe day one plans. The president-elect is set to unleash 100 executive orders on everything from the border to mass deportations and finishing that big, very big, beautiful wall. Will you be shock and awed, Jessica, on day one? When he's a dictator on day one?
No. Well, he said that's only in certain areas, right?
He said it's only the first day.
Only first day, and then everything's going to be fantastic. I'm excited for inauguration. It's my first one that I'm going down to cover. Yeah. So
we'll just cover it in a fair and balanced manner.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, 1-on-4 is usually not balanced, so I'll make sure to try to do that. It is interesting, though, to see there's a little bit of a relaxation, let's say, on some of the promises that they made during the campaign. Like J.D. Vance now will try to stabilize prices. You saw that article that Tom Homan is privately signaling to GOPers that they might not be able to have that big, bold, beautiful deportation force like they promised. So we'll see what actually happens.
Well, if anybody needs a volunteer, Greg can be a nice agent. Yep. And he'll get your ass out of the country fast. Judge Chidin?
Yeah, I want to be on that team.
Looks like we're all set, Jessica.
You know what I'm excited about? I'm excited that the president coming in recognizes that the first order of government is the protection of his people. And he's going to do that by closing the border. He's going to do that by making sure that, illegals who were committing crimes are deported, and they will be deported. I don't care how big it is or how they're going to be deported. And that we start making changes in statutes across this country as it relates to crime and criminals being out on without bail. School gender policies. I'm looking forward to those changes. I'm looking forward to changes in vaccine mandates. Many of us are sorry that we took the vaccine from the pandemic that was forced on us if we wanted to come back to work. So there's going to be a lot of executive orders, 100 on next Monday, compared to 4 in 2017 when he became president. So it's all good. I'm excited.
Yeah, they're definitely ready this time for sure. Dana, where do you think in the first couple weeks are the people going to feel the biggest impact of Trump back in the White House?
I think
New wildfire warnings in Southern California this Monday night. The Canadians on edge.
I still have my stuff packed up by the door.
And the reality setting in for residents who've lost everything.
I cry and get up and keep crying.
Canada could be hit with Donald Trump's hefty tariffs in 1 week.
We do need to be preparing ourselves.
Why political experts say this could get ugly fast. The race to replace Justin Trudeau, the 5 people expected to join 2 official contenders. And from smuggled in a crate to doing great. What's next for this critically endangered baby gorilla?
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening, Nigeria, for France 24. Join me on all updates on Nigeria on France 24 news programs.
Chinwe Osondo, one of the 200 France 24 correspondents around the world.
Hello, you're tuned in to Daybreak on France 24. I'm Karis Garland. Thanks for joining us. Here's a look at the top story we're covering. Powerful winds are threatening progress made in fighting the deadly wildfires that have ravaged parts of Los Angeles in the US, with winds of up to 110 kilometers per hour forecast this Tuesday morning. We'll get the latest from our correspondent, Wasim Gomez. Negotiators are meeting in Doha this Tuesday, seeking to finalize details of a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. It comes after reports of a midnight breakthrough. And Lebanon's new president has named the head of the International Court of Justice, Nawaf Salam, to serve as prime minister, with a majority of lawmakers voting to support him. Also coming up, Charlie Dalin, barring a last-minute disaster, will cross the finish line first in the solo round the World Vendée Globe yacht race. The 40-year-old French mariner is due to complete the race in record time, breaking the previous mark by 10 days. Progress made in fighting the deadly wildfires that have ravaged parts of Los Angeles in the US. The National Weather Service has forecast winds of up to 110 kilometers per hour this Tuesday morning. It comes after a brief respite helped firefighters start to contain the two biggest blazes over the weekend.
This
is the first hearing of his impeachment trial.
This is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Rani Samtani. At this hour, fears mounting of violence in South Korea amid attempts to arrest suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol. The leader is expected to miss the first hearing of his impeachment trial. Negotiators seek to finalize a Gaza ceasefire deal after talks reportedly reach a breakthrough in Doha. The U.S. says an agreement could be announced in days, even as heavy fighting rocks the Palestinian territory. And President Joe Biden makes a robust defense of his foreign policy before handing over the reins to Donald Trump. He insists China will not surpass the U.S. and claims to be leaving the country in a stronger position.
Josh, thank you and good evening. These are your latest headlines from GB Newsroom. Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch said that state bodies have failed the victims of the grooming gang scandal, adding that the problem is ongoing. Speaking exclusively to GB News' national reporter Charlie Peters, Mrs. Badenoch said that she doesn't care if people say she's jumping on a far-right bandwagon. She added that the Conservative Party will do everything to make sure that victims get justice. The Conservative leader went on to say she had identified cultural issues surrounding grooming gangs, saying perpetrators often come from a poor peasant background.
Where do these abuses come from? There's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of generalization. Many innocent people end up being grouped in with them. But if you look at it, there's a systematic pattern of behavior, not even just from one country, but from sub-communities within those countries, people with a particular background, particular class background, work background.
What background is that?
Yeah, people very, very poor sort of peasant background, very, very rural, almost cut off from even the home origin countries that they might have been in.
Elsewhere, Sir Keir Starmer says he's completely confident in his team, with his spokesman saying today that Rachel Reeves will stay on as Chancellor until the next general election, following turmoil in the markets. The PM's official spokesman added that Sir Keir Starmer has full confidence in Rachel Reeves, and he'll be working with her for the whole of the Parliament. In the past week, there's been a drop in the pound and an increase in borrowing costs, with Downing Street saying nothing is off the table, as government departments consider where to cut spending. Ms. Reeves has been in China, bolstering ties with the nation, with Senior Cabinet Minister Pat McFadden saying today that it was in the national interest. Shadow Business Secretary Andrew Griffith said that the Chancellor failed to make some vital decisions in her budget. Joe Biden has delivered a foreign policy speech from the White House this evening, saying a Gaza ceasefire and hostage deal is on the brink of fruition. The outgoing US president said the deal would also include a surge of aid to Palestinians in what was his final foreign policy address. A round of Gaza ceasefire talks will be held in Doha tomorrow morning, to finalise the remaining details of the deal. Officials in Los Angeles said at a press conference today that severe fire weather conditions will continue until Wednesday. LA Mayor Karen Bass said that close to hurricane-force winds have been predicted. At least 24 people have been killed and thousands evacuated as fires rage on in California. 23 people, all adults, remain missing, and more than 92,000 people are currently under evacuation orders, officials have said. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna also added that at least 34 people have been arrested. Meanwhile, US President-elect Donald Trump has called politicians in California incompetent over their handling of the fires. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's time.
This is Sky News, the headlines. Residents brace for more wildfires as dangerous winds pick up again, and we question authorities about their response.
When we are past this period, there will be an evaluation of everything that went on.
The man accused of being the reason Kiana Dawes took her own life is cleared of manslaughter but convicted of the coercive control of his partner.
I just wish with all my heart that I could bring her back and say, it's okay, you're safe now.
President Biden says they're on the brink of a ceasefire deal for Gaza, lifting hopes for an Israeli hostage release, with talks on final details expected today. And the Prime Minister promises Britain will be an AI superpower, hoping to reboot a flatlining economy. Good morning, welcome to the programme. The fires in Los Angeles have been burning for a week, engulfing the homes of tens of thousands of people. Those residents now displaced. 24 people have died, and that number is expected to rise. The strong Santa Ana winds are forecast to pick up, and crews are getting ready for even more fires. But
this is DW News, and these are our top stories. Wind speeds are forecast to pick up around Los Angeles, raising the threat of more wildfires. A lull at the weekend allowed fire crews to get some of the blazes under control. The wildfires have killed at least 24 people and destroyed thousands of homes. US President Joe Biden says an agreement to end the war in Gaza could be finalized this week. The deal would also see the release of hostages who are being held in Gaza. Israeli and Hamas negotiators are due to hold indirect talks in Cairo to finalize details. A German-Iranian women's rights activist is back in Germany after more than 4 years in an Iranian prison. Nahid Tagawi was arrested back in 2020 during a visit to Iran. She was accused of spreading propaganda against the state. Amnesty International said the allegations were groundless. This is DW News from Berlin. You'll find much more on our website at dw.com.
Joe Biden says a ceasefire in Joe Biden says a ceasefire in Gaza is on the brink of coming to fruition as negotiations gain momentum in Qatar. But news of the potential truce hasn't stopped the fighting in Gaza as Israel targets schools and homes, killing 53 Palestinians in Gaza City alone. Hello and welcome to TRT World Live from Istanbul. I'm Isabel Ewing, also ahead on the programme. Los Angeles braces for more high winds which threaten to hinder firefighting efforts across the region. And the trial of South Korea's impeached president starts over his short-lived imposition of martial law. Palestinians from the Gaza Strip have mixed feelings towards reported progress in the negotiations between Hamas and Israel to establish a ceasefire and bring home dozens of Israelis home
hostage there. Red Hajj Musa, who sheltered with family in the southern city of Khan Yunis, said he hoped that US pressure will yield a ceasefire deal. We hope that American pressure from the Trump government and Arab mediators, Egypt and Qatar, will be serious to end this war, and we are currently very optimistic that this will
Major General Abdurrahim Musavi, the chief commander of the Iranian army, issued an order that saw the deployment of 1,000 strategic drones into the army's operational framework, with Brigadier General Aziz Nasirzadeh, the defense minister, in attendance. These unarmed aerial vehicles boast impressive capabilities, including a range exceeding 2,000 kilometers and significant destructive power, enabling them to undertake specialized missions. This development raises alarm about a possible attack on Iran's nuclear installations. In the past few days, Iran has also carried out air defense drills near its vital nuclear sites at Natanz and Fordo. After a weekend spent blocking the explosive growth of fires that destroyed thousands of homes and killed at least 24 people in Los Angeles area, firefighters got a slight break with calmer weather but cast a wary eye on a forecast for yet more wind. Already burned homes and valleys could flare anew, sending embers to unburned territories.
With the lack of water, the lack of manpower, if we weren't there, the house would, they wouldn't. Coleman, there's probably 20 houses on the street and about 7 are left.
At least 16 people were missing, a number authorities said was also likely to rise. Russia has sent an emergency task force in the southern Krasnodar region as an oil spill from 2 tankers in the Kerch Strait continues to spread. President Vladimir Putin called on authorities to ramp up the response to the spill, calling it one of the most serious environmental challenges. The 2 tankers were carrying more than 8,000 tons of mazout, a low-quality oil product mainly used in power plants, when they were damaged in a storm. First of all, we need to clear a path to the ship. The distance is considerable. We will do this in the next 24 hours. We are literally making a decision right now on how to do this, what forces and capabilities we will use. If we succeed, we will circle the ship in that time, so to speak, and pile up sand. Officials in Russia occupied the Crimea.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Bennett.
And I'm Amna Nabaz. On the News Hour tonight, the death toll from the Los Angeles area fires rises as high winds complicate efforts to combat the devastating blazes.
We look at the practical implications and potential roadblocks of President-elect Trump's stated desire to buy Greenland.
China has increasingly been seeking investment in Greenland and in other parts of the Arctic. And I think the U.S. is buying minerals.
And Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense faces an uncertain confirmation process amid accusations of sexual misconduct.
Tonight, Los Angeles braces for fierce winds. How new dangerous conditions could impact the efforts to contain the blazes.
We're making urgent preparations.
Plus, as the death toll rises, we remember those killed. Tonight, the search for missing loved ones.
There just aren't words to describe how horrific it was.
On the brink, our new reporting on a possible ceasefire and hostage release as President Biden delivers his final foreign policy.
Thank you for sparing your precious time. This is Amir Shakil. Have a good life. Bye-bye.